My beloved Madridistas, welcome back to Madrid. Welcome back to the channel. It wasn't to be. It wasn't to be. This was a particularly difficult defeat to swallow because we had this match in the palm of our hand. We really could have won this match. It's so disappointing. Don't forget, this match was supposed to be a blowout. We've been talking for months about how terribly we're playing football, all of the problems that we have in this squad, coming off probably the worst 18 to 24 months of injuries I've ever seen in the history of this club. And off the top of my head, I don't recall any period where we have had so many injuries. So going into this match, and of course the press talking about Barca's wonderful play, this was supposed to be a blowout, and it was not. This was a game of two halves. Unfortunately, we gave the first half away. Barca played much better than we did in the first half. But after that, no. In the second half and in the extra time, I think we were the better side. We could have won this match, and that's what makes it so painful. Ultimately, this was decided by two individual mistakes by Courtois and Brahim. I hate to single players out, but in this case, we have to mention that. Look, we have to congratulate Barca for their victory. They won fair and square. We need to be dignified even when we lose. You'll never hear a Barca YouTuber say what I just said, but we'll underscore the difference. Congratulations, Barca deserve to win, and we have to mention that. But we need to hit the reset button, and we need to hit it hard, and we need to hit it fast. Carlo Ancelotti needs to leave. There are so many changes that we need to make. We need to talk about Florentino Perez. Florentino Perez needs to be careful. I can tell you as a socio, and I think that many Madridistas and socios share my view. He needs to be very careful because we have lost patience. We need to hit the reset button. We need a new manager. We need to spend money reinforcing the defensive line. We have the money. There is no excuse to be shy about this, and a lot of things need to change. Let me give you my thoughts on the match, individual players, the good and the bad. And we need to talk about the big picture, the changes that need to come, and they need to come quickly. Thanks for joining me. As always, we have a lot to discuss. Thanks for joining me. Let's get started. Madridistas, welcome back to the channel. We have so much to talk about. All right. First of all, by the way, I just need to say sorry. I wasn't able to make videos the last few days. I couldn't do a post on the Getafe match. There was just too much going on around here. I had a bad back, and our cat had an operation. There was just way too much going on. So unfortunately, life gets in the way sometimes. So I apologize for that. But let's talk about this match because we really have so much to discuss. Now, let's start with the lineup. Now, Ancelotti chose to come out with Courtois in goal, Lucas Vázquez as right back, Sergio Rudiger in the center of defense, and Mendy, who hadn't played in months, Mendy as left back. Now, that just, the moment I saw that, I could already smell a problem. But Mendy as left back in the middle of the pitch, he had four, so this was a 4-4-2, Ceballos, Tchouaméni, Fede and Jude, and then up front, Vini and Rodrigo. And Ancelotti chose to leave Kylian on the bench to start the match. Not entirely sure why. I mean, we thought that maybe it had something to do with that injury he suffered in the previous match. But then when we saw him play, he looked good physically. So I'm not entirely sure what motivated leaving Kylian on the bench, but that is what Ancelotti decided. Now, in terms of the match, the first half was just unforgivable because you cannot expect to win matches when you give away entire chunks of the match so easily and voluntarily. The first half was just absolutely awful. It was very, the first few minutes, very slow and tense, which is what you always expect in these finals. And it took all of 8 minutes for the first problem to arise. And Mendy was injured 8 minutes. That is literally all it took. But then again, This is a player that hadn't played in 2-3 months, coming off an injury. I was surprised to see Mendy in the starting lineup. I had questions as to whether he would be match fit, and it took all of 8 minutes for my worries to be crystallized. So Mendy comes off, Fran comes in, but the entire first half was basically just Barca, very comfortable control of the ball, very comfortable in short spaces. Passing, our press was terribly ineffective. It was so hard for us to recover the ball, and when we recovered it, it didn't last very long at all. This was just one-way traffic. It took 22 minutes for Real Madrid to put together its first attack, and the first play where we really had players forward and created a sort of semi-semblance of a chance, it took 22 minutes. And I just think that is unacceptable. We've started every match this season with very low intensity, and always giving up the first goal, and it happened again in this match. This is unforgivable, and this is down to the manager, and we need to call a spade a spade. The first goal came in the 27th minute. This was a fabulous strike by Pedri. Right now, Pedri, I think, is one of the best midfielders in the world. He's been playing out of his skin the entire season. He's a wonderful player. But this was, you cannot allow a player like Pedri to have so much time and space. As that ball was passed into the middle of the box, and Pedri was coming up, there was just nobody there to put any kind of pressure in terms of blocking the shot, in terms of putting a body on Pedri, or just interrupting his run. It was just way too easy. We needed some backtracking in that play. I can't criticize Jude because he had a phenomenal match, but I think in that play he should have backtracked. Pedri was just completely all alone, and put a wonderful shot to the corner, nothing that Courtois could do. Now after the goal, it was just more of the same. It was very, very sloppy passing, especially up front, and we were, when we finally managed to get the ball to our forwards, we were way too individualistic. Every time we received the ball, especially Rodrigo, it was 1-on-6. He was trying to take on, instead of circulating the ball, being patient, allowing the lines to move up, sucking the tempo out of the match, and holding onto the ball, just changing the dynamic of the match. Instead of doing that, we would try to, a 1-on-4, 1-on-5, plays that are just impossible. Rodrigo, especially, I think, is to blame for so many ball losses. He had a horrendous first half. We need to talk about Rodrigo as well because he was just awful. But again, very slow passing. We were far too individualistic up front, very static. I noticed that when we had the ball, very few players were making runs. So when you receive the ball and no one's making a run and you don't have a kind of immediate passing option, you have to hold on to the ball. And when you hold on to the ball, you subject yourself to the press. And Barca is a team that presses very aggressively and very well. So we were just losing the ball, nobody making runs, too individualistic, and just not circulating the ball and losing it far too quickly. The only players that I think sort of were trying to make an effort were Jude and Fede. But the first half finished with the 1-0. And it just looked really bad. It just, it looked like a match that could go from bad to worse. And at that point, I just didn't see any signs of Real Madrid bouncing back in any way. Now, when the second half started, I was proven wrong. In the first couple of minutes, it looked like we were just going to continue from the first half. But that changed. In the 49th minute, Bini had two very, very clear chances. Bini started to wake up and became much more dynamic, very imprecise, frustratingly imprecise in terms of his decision-making in the final third, incredibly irritating, but he was starting to wake up a little bit. Kylian had a very good chance in the 53rd minute as well, and we need to mention Kylian's impact on the match was it was night and day. Compared to what Rodrigo was doing, it was just night and day. Kylian brought so much danger to our play, just another dimension of danger and mobility up front. It really made a difference. In the 54th minute, we had more changes. By the way, I didn't mention that, at the beginning of the second half, Kylian came off for Rodrigo, and that was a very wise decision. As I say, Rodrigo was absolutely awful. We had more changes in the 54th minute. Lucas Vázquez came off. Luka Modric came in. Arda Güler came in for Ceballos. Another very good decision because Arda made a very positive contribution. At this point, Fede had to move to right back. And from this point on, from about the 54th minute, the game really opened up. So it was a lot less cagey, a lot less sort of stuck in the middle of the pitch. It really became more of a sort of back and forth, a much more open game. But in that open game, Real Madrid looked much more dangerous. We looked more dangerous when we were countering compared to Barça. We were starting to recover the ball. We started to press more aggressively and higher up on the pitch. We started to recover the balls in dangerous positions. Our press started to really work. Barça, we're having they're very good playing in short spaces, but we took that out of their play. We were pressing very effectively. Barça really resorted to booting the ball away, which is not something they like to do. It's literally a last resort for them, but we put them in a position where they just had to boot the ball away on a number of occasions. So we were really pressing them, pushing them. I think in the second half, some players really woke up. I think Jude had an absolutely unbelievable second half. He played a wonderful second half, and you really need to watch that again because I think his performance in the second half was extraordinary. I think Fede was unbelievable and woke up. He was always a consistent player, never plays poorly, but his second half was especially good and in extra time. I also have to mention Tchouaméni. Tchouaméni, I think, everybody was poor in the first half, but if you look at the totality of the match, I think Tchouaméni played really, really well, especially in the second half and the extra time. Arda Güler, I have to mention, he has such a glove on his left foot, and ever since he came on the pitch, he was serving up fantastic balls. I mean, his passing yesterday was phenomenal. So I have to mention those players because they really stepped up. And of course, Kylian, who made such a difference. Kylian's goal came in the 69th minute, a wonderful shot that hit the post and went in. That was the 1-1. And after the goal, we continued to attack. Vinny had another really good chance in the 73rd minute. And then the 1-2 came in the 76th minute. And this was a header by Tchouaméni, who I think really had a very, very good game, with the exception of the first half where nobody gets off. But I think the rest of the match, Tchouaméni played very well. This was a great header. And we have to mention the corner. I think in set pieces, we need to let Arda take these. Arda needs to play more minutes, but his ability to place the ball exactly where he wants is unbelievable. This was a wonderfully executed corner kick, a good header by Tchouaméni, and that put us up 1-2. And, at this point, Real Madrid looked comfortable. We looked in command. Barça looked rattled. We looked like we could continue to create danger and score more goals. And it was precisely when we looked more comfortable that the 2-2 came in the 83rd minute, with only 6 minutes left in the match, and we give up this goal. This was a terrible mistake by Courtois, and it pains me to say it because, Courtois has saved our ass on so many occasions, but this was just this was an amateur mistake. If a goalkeeper leaves his line and goes on a Himalayan hiking expedition like this, you need to be 100% sure that you're going to get to the ball first. If you're not 100% sure that you're going to get to the ball first, don't do it. And by the way, Rudiger was coming back and he was going to catch up. There was no need for Courtois to panic this way, but he did, and he didn't get to the ball, and that was just so. Like I say, when we were most in control of the match, one critical mistake that gave Barça a momentum again and put us at 2-2. Now, in the 95th minute, and as we got to the end of regular time, you had the controversy of the penalty. I can tell you that when I watched it in real time, it looked like a penalty to me. When you watched it in real time, I thought Asensio made a mistake, poor timing, maybe it was fatigue. But then when you watch the replay, it was very, very clear that there was actually no contact. Rafinha drags his trailing foot very, very deliberately, but and he goes to ground, but it was not due to any contact. So I think they made the right decision there. Okay, we went into the extra time, and again, I felt that at this point, fatigue really became a massive factor, and it's kind of very tense but exciting to watch these matches, because when you get into this extra time in a final like this, every player is so tired that the game becomes completely open. There is no midfield. It becomes a back and forth, but a very, very slow and excruciating back and forth because nobody has legs anymore. But still, even in that kind of disorganized, slow back and forth, I felt we were the better side, and I felt we looked more dangerous when we attacked. That's just the impression that I had. But it was, we entered a part of the match where that one mistake, that's it. The first team to make a mistake will lose because you're running out of time and you're running out of legs. And you have to be so careful in those situations. And like I say, when we were, unfortunately, we looked the more threatening side when we would counter, even though the play was very slow. But our decision making up front was just really, really poor. It was that last pass that was missing. It was the last dribble, the last shot. It was so frustrating because we were creating, good enough chances to make something happen, but it was just the decision making in the final third that was so irritating. In the second half of the extra time, it was kind of more of the same. Broken match, back and forth, very slow, very painful to watch. But we look like the better side. Again, Jude and Fede were amazing. Arda and Kylian as well. In the 109th minute, Endrick came in for Rudiger. At this point, Rudiger couldn't even walk, and he had been playing, visibly injured for a few minutes. At this point, Tchouaméni had to go to the center back position. And this is how cruel football is. In the 112th minute, Arda Güler put in an absolutely delicious ball into Jude, who almost headed it. It would have, this was a matter of inches. And we go from almost scoring in the 112th minute to conceding the goal that was ultimately our defeat 3 minutes later in the 115th. The goal by Koundé at the end of the match, this was a mistake by Brahim, who didn't understand a pass from Luka Modric. Now, again, Koundé he had way too much time and space to take this shot. Now, I understand he was far away, but it just felt like somebody needed to be closer to him. Somebody needed to try to attack him and attack the ball, but he had just too much time, and it turned out to be an incredibly precise shot. Now, I don't know if Courtois could have done more in that goal. Maybe yes, maybe no. It's hard to say, and I don't want to blame Courtois for that one, but it just feels like we could have done more to stop that goal. So it was incredibly disappointing. In terms of takeaways and players, look, you can't win a match like this if you only play one half of football. You have to play the entirety of the match. But this was very, very disappointing because, like I say, I feel like we had the match in the palm of our hand. We could have won this match. Now, there's good and bad in terms of players that we need to mention. I think, I have to mention that Jude, Fede, Kylian, Tchouaméni, and Arda, I think, were very, very good. But there were also very poor. There was a lot of contrasting individual performances. Rodrigo was awful. Just awful, and he had been coming off weeks and weeks of poor play. But Ancelotti seems to have a soft spot for Rodrigo, plays him no matter what, and I don't understand why some players have these privileges that they always have to start. I don't know why Ancelotti is so hell-bent on always starting Rodrigo when he's obviously in a slump. What if we had started the match with Vini and Kylian instead? Maybe it would have been a different result. Vini, I think, was just irritating. It reminded me of the early Vini, where he was very explosive but would just make terrible decisions, at the end of plays. We last year, it looked like Vini had improved his finishing, his passing, his decision making in the final third. But again, yesterday, it just felt like the Vini of old. Explosive, puts himself in good positions, but then just making the wrong decision in the last minute. Lucas Vázquez, I thought was just very poor. Again, he's had an awful season. But we need to reset. This is a club that needs to reset. We need a new manager. We need new players. In terms of the rumors here, Xabi Alonso still looks like he's in pole position to be our next manager. There are a lot of rumors going around, a lot of different names, but I think if you were a betting man, probably you would put your money on Xabi Alonso at this point. We also need new players, and Florentino Perez needs to be careful because, the idea that Huijsen, if we need a center back and he costs, and his release clause is 50 million, pay it. What is the problem? Why is that? Since when is 50 million an issue when we are in desperate need of another center back? Since when is 50 million a problem? We lost Lenny Yodo because Man U was willing to pay another 20 or something. That is peanuts for Real Madrid. I mean, I get the audited financial statements as a socio, and I'm telling you, the club has plenty of money. It's inexplicable to me that Florentino Perez gets stingy. He doesn't mind splurging when it's a very commercial, T-shirt selling decision. But when it's something tactically important, but maybe commercially less flashy, he doesn't want to open up his wallet. But he needs to be very careful because Madridismo we're pissed off and we're absolutely sick of this, and we are starting to point fingers at him, and he's going to be under a tremendous amount of pressure if he doesn't do the right thing, because we're sick. Florentino Perez, this idea that Real Madrid needs a strong Barça in order to compete, and being so forgiving about, yesterday the winning goal was scored by a player that shouldn't be registered because Barça never had the money for Koundé or Gavi, and they didn't have the money for Dani Olmo, and that's been proven that Barça never had the funds to register those players. And why did Real Madrid back off from this issue? Why weren't we more aggressive about it? Why are we helping a team that has been cheating for years and that clearly doesn't play by the same rules? Florentino Perez needs to stop this nonsense. His obsession with the Super League and needing to cooperate with Barça, sometimes feels like a betrayal to our own interests. And Florentino Perez needs to wake up. We need to open our wallet and spend money not just on commercial players, but players that we need from a footballing standpoint. And he's going to be under a huge amount of pressure in the coming weeks, and especially if he doesn't do anything dramatic over the summer. But Florentino Perez is under pressure, and he needs to be careful because, yes, he has the power in this club. He has everything tied up, and he runs the show, and he's the man in command. But I'm telling you, the socios will turn on you, and it's a very unpleasant place to be because he's going to hear it if things don't change very quickly. So we need a new manager. We need to reinforce the defensive line especially, and we may need to make a sale up front because, honestly, the Rodrigo of the last few weeks, is that a player that we must play as a starter every match? Because I don't think so. And last year there was a big fuss about Rodrigo. Is he going to be sold? And he was sort of allowing himself to be loved by Man City. Well, maybe now is the time to go. And you can tell me what you think, and maybe I'm being controversial. I know Rodrigo has been wonderful and given us a lot of glory, but he's been playing like shit for weeks and weeks. And Carlo Ancelotti insists on starting him no matter what. And I think it's a mistake. We're going to need to reinforce the defensive line and maybe shed one or two bodies up front. But we have to make important decisions because this cannot continue. Okay, unfortunately, that's kind of where we are. I'll give you my thoughts on players individually really quickly. Courtois, I don't know what to tell you. He had a couple of great saves because he's a great goalkeeper. But the mistake in the 2-2 is unforgivable. And it's very hard to give him any kind of a positive grade when you make a mistake of that caliber. So Courtois, very, very disappointing that a goalkeeper of his pedigree would make such an amateur mistake. So I think Courtois, we can't let him off the hook for this. This was just a terrible mistake from an experienced goalkeeper. Lucas Vázquez, maybe not as awful as in other matches, but soft, and just, this is a 33-year-old reinvented player who became a right back, but that was never his natural position, and this is just not acceptable. He cannot be the starting right back for Real Madrid. I think that issue, I think, will be resolved, but I think Lucas Vázquez was poor. Mendy, what can I tell you? He played 8 minutes. I mean, who the hell? The guy hadn't played in weeks. Was in no position to start. It took him all of 8 minutes to break. That was a disaster. Fran came in and actually, I think, played reasonably. Not in the first half. I think in the first half everyone was poor, but I think in the balance of the match, Fran played okay, and he certainly ran a lot, contributed a lot, and he was very present up front, but also defending. I think Fran wasn't bad. Maybe he should have started from the beginning. You can tell me what you think. Asensio, I think, was excellent again. I think this player is very gritty. I was really worried in that penalty in the 95th minute that maybe he had committed sort of a youthful, naive mistake, but that wasn't the case. He did not cause that penalty. That was not a penalty. I think otherwise Asensio had a really, really solid match. and I would rate him very highly. I'd probably give him a 7 or an 8 if I had to give him a grade. Rudiger, I think, played well. Maybe not as well as Asensio, but I think he ran a lot, recovered very well. He's a lot faster than you think because he's a very tall player. So maybe the first few steps he's not that quick, but in space and in distance, Rudiger is very, very quick. He had a lot of key recoveries. I think Rudiger played pretty well. Ceballos was poor. I mean, I think we sort of rushed Ceballos in terms of his injury because we're so desperate for players because we have so many injury problems. But Ceballos is definitely not the player he was prior to the injury. He was losing too many balls. He's a player that when he's nervous, he tends to hold the ball too long. He tends to over-dribble in dangerous situations when he's surrounded. He takes too much risk with the ball when he feels under pressure. And I think Ceballos reverted back to some of the poor habits that he has as a player. But I think he's just not back to form yet. He's still recovering from that injury, and he's just not the player that he was prior to the injury. I think Ceballos was also playing a bit deeper than usual. He wasn't coming up as much, participating in attack as much as you would expect. I think that when he's doubtful of his own play, he tends to stay further back and has less mobility and covers less space. I just think Ceballos, it wasn't his night. Tchouaméni, I thought Tchouaméni was really, really good. Now, again, I have to say the first half everybody was poor, but I think Tchouaméni played a really, really good game. I think he is a very good defensive pivot. Ever since he got whistled in the Bernabeu, he's a new player because he's just a new player. He's been playing very, very well the last few weeks, and I think last night he had a really outstanding match, and we need to mention that and be fair about that. Fede is becoming one of the leaders of this team. Fede is a player that embodies all of the values of Real Madrid. He plays with the same commitment and intensity against Alaves as he does in a final like this. Fede is an absolutely indispensable player for this team. He's one of the few players that you can count on every single match. He was outstanding in the center of the pitch, and he was outstanding as right back, and he just runs and gives so much. He saved our ass on a couple of occasions. He's so generous with his physical effort. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. Jude, the same can be said about Jude. Jude is there are some positive takeaways from this match, and these are some of them. Jude is a magnificent player. He is a transformational player, a generational player. He had a wonderful match, from the second half on through to the end of the match. Just wonderful on the ball. He gives so much, defends so well, steals so many balls. He protects the ball so well. He's got great vision, great passing. He gave a tremendous performance, and I think 100% effort. I think Jude was wonderful, and we're very lucky to have him. Vini. I think Vini was erratic, as I mentioned, poor decision making, just lack of concentration. He had the explosiveness, and he tried, but just the decision making in the final third, I think, was poor. Rodrigo was awful, as I've mentioned. He's coming off a few weeks. He's just been terrible. He's going through an incredibly long drought. Ancelotti in the press conference sort of said, well, if he hasn't scored in the last few games, the chances that he'll score now are higher. No, they're not, okay? That's not how this works. This is like flipping a coin. These are independent events. And just because he hasn't scored, on the contrary, the fact that he hasn't scored the last few matches is all the more reason to reconsider whether he should start. So I don't know what Ancelotti's thinking. Rodrigo was awful, and this is a player we need to think about. Kylian, I think, was excellent, made a massive difference when he came on. This is a fantastic player, and with the players that Real Madrid has, we need to be winning more games and winning more comfortably. Kylian was very fast. He was hungry, always causing problems for the Barca defense. Kylian, I think, made a massive difference, and just the difference between Rodrigo and Kylian last night was just night and day. Arda Güler, we need to mention Arda because I think Arda showed us last night the player that he can be. His passing was phenomenal. His distribution. I felt very confident when he had the ball because he's just very good at protecting it, very good at making the right pass, not losing the ball. I thought Arda, he was, some of his passing was just so accurate yesterday. He's a wonderful player. We need to be getting more out of him. He needs to play more minutes, and it's just, I feel like Ancelotti has not gotten the best out of this player because the talent is clearly there, and we saw it last night. But just Ancelotti hasn't done a good job of maximizing the productivity from a really wonderful young player. Luka Modric, I thought was, blah. He was okay, moved the ball around quite well, but I don't think he was the difference maker that we would have hoped. I think he was okay. I wouldn't give him more than a 6 last night. Brahim had a very unfortunate night. He was, first of all, playing a little bit further back. He wasn't really playing. Brahim is good when he's on the wing, taking defenders on one-on-one because he has that speed and that dribble. But when you put him in the middle of the pitch and you put him further back, he's always cluttered. He's in situations where he's surrounded by defenders, and that's not where you get the most of Brahim. So I think Brahim had a very unfortunate night. Nothing was working. He lost a ton of balls, one of them very critically in the final goal by Koundé. I think Brahim he's a wonderful player, but I don't think it was his night, and I don't think he was playing in his natural position yesterday. Like I say, he was playing too far back and too far inside, and was just always surrounded and coughed up the ball far too easily. Okay, now look, to conclude, listen, football history is very long, and we need to learn from our mistakes, and we need to make adjustments when we have years like this so that we can come back stronger and better. But we need to acknowledge those problems and those weaknesses and do something about it. Carlo needs to leave, okay? Ancelotti has done everything he can for this club, but it's no longer working. His decision-making has been catastrophic all year long. Carlo needs to leave. We need to hit the reset button, and I really hope Xabi Alonso comes. Florentino Perez needs to open up his wallet, stop being distracted by political nonsense and commercial nonsense, and focus on football. And we need to bring players that make strategic sense to our play, and stop thinking about bigger issues. I think he has his finger in too many pots. He's distracted. He's lost focus. I don't understand what he's trying to do. And Madridismo is losing patience. And I'm not the only socio to say this. Florentino needs to fix things this summer, or he's going to be under a huge amount of pressure next year. We need to finish the season with dignity, and I hope and trust that's what we're going to do. We need to play to the bitter end. But this is a season that could not end soon enough. It's been so disappointing in so many different ways. We need a new start, and we need to hit the reset button. Again, congratulations to Barca. These victories always mean more to them than they do to us, and I think that tells you everything about who is who in the world of football. But congratulations to them for their victory. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Sorry, it was a long one this time, but I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments section. Sorry I couldn't talk to you guys these last few days, but please let me know your thoughts because there's a lot to chew on here. Thanks for joining me as always. And as always, we need to be sort of patient and optimistic. But as always and forever, a la Madrid.